Welcome everyone to today's pre-com webinar, and we want to help you build e-commerce platforms that you need in a time and cost-efficient manner. And we are hoping to achieve this goal by demonstrating the latest free features and integrations, by sharing some e-commerce insights and know-how, and by connecting this free community around the challenges and goals that you want to achieve. And today, I have a pleasure. By the way, I'm Mike Faber. I'm a Spree evangelist. I have a pleasure of introducing Tom, our Spree tech lead, and Tom is also a steward of storefront integrations. So Tom will be talking about creating awesome storefronts with Spree, Next.js Commerce. And I have a pleasure of introducing two special guests that are joining us today from Stripe. Josh and Ali will be talking about a service called Stripe Checkout. So long story short, they've built a checkout service, so you don't have to. But that's not all. Josh and Ali will be talking about some insights, some data that Stripe has gathered around what is driving conversions on the checkout stage of the user journey, and that data is extremely valuable and interesting. So I'm very excited to listen to their presentation. And without further ado, let's jump into it. So as you know, Spree with its latest release is coming in a headless mode, which means it's decoupled from the storefront. And that approach gives you many advantages. One of them being you are able to work on the storefront independently from the backend. You are able to iterate through it, but first you have to connect it to the backend. And that's exactly the topic of today's Tom's walkthrough, and Tom is going to provide you with a step-by-step presentation or a demo how to connect Next.js Commerce storefront to Spree API. And from what I've heard and from what I've seen, this takes around maybe 30 minutes or less, which is great, and maybe even less. Let's see. Yeah, Tom, please do take it away.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, everyone. Let me just set things up real quick.
Oh, in the meantime, hey, Josh, and
Hi there.
welcome. So Tom is going to set up. Hi, Ali. Good to have you both. Tom is just setting up, and he will share his screen and give us a walkthrough of his stuff for about 20 minutes. And we are very excited to have you and to listen what you have to say about the Stripe checkout and all the data that you have gathered around checkout experience and what drives conversions there.
Sounds great. We're excited to share all of that with you. And first, we'll turn it over to Tom and excited to hear from Tom.
All right, Tom, take it away.
All right, so going to share my screen now, and let's get going. So I'll give you a quick introduction into what, let's see, what Next.js Commerce is. And we'll set it up so you can see how it looks like from the developer's perspective. And we will confirm that it really is easy to set up, and it only takes a few minutes, like Mike mentioned. So Spree has a set of APIs that you can communicate with, called the storefront API. And there's also a platform API that can do things that you can do through the admin panel. But Next.js Commerce is something that you can use for showing the store to end users. So you can use it to show your products, to allow users to add them to the cart and make purchases later. Next.js Commerce is developed by Purcell. The same developers that develop Next.js itself. So they know a thing or two about how to create good user experiences and good developer experiences as well. Next.js Commerce has been around for about 2 years, so it has most of the basic stuff you would expect. And it's still very much in development, so new features are coming in all the time. And actually, if you follow the Next.js project, then you will know that the last Next.js conference was just yesterday, and they introduced Next.js 12. So I'm sure Next.js Commerce will soon get updated to Next.js 12 from 11. So what we need to do to set up Next.js Commerce. First of all, we need a running version of Spree. The easiest way to do it is to download the Spree Starter project. You can do it via GitHub. It's available at our Spree GitHub account under Spree_starter. So that's what I will start with right now. Actually, to be more specific, I will move one step forward because the installation takes like, I don't know, 5-6 minutes. So we don't want to focus on Spree too much, but we want to focus on Next.js Commerce. So I'm going to show you how I set it up locally. So like I said, it uses Spree Starter. And on the right-hand side of my screen, you can see a terminal that's in the Spree Starter directory. So you can see all the contents of Spree Starter. It's unmodified from the current version of Spree Starter. So if I do git status, you will see that there are no changes to display. And what I did here already to speed things up a little bit was to go through the local installation guide in the Spree Starter README. So I ran bin setup, which creates the Docker instances that run Spree and relational database that Spree uses to store information. It also starts Redis to cache data, and it starts a worker that can perform some background jobs if you need to. So that's what I already did. And I also populated the database with some sample products and orders and so on. So what is left to do is, let's run the complete command. What's left to do is to just run Spree. I can do that with Docker Compose up. It will start all the services I mentioned. And in a second, we'll have a running version of Spree.
In the meantime, Tom, I've heard that those live streams of coding sessions are becoming really popular. So maybe we should do some, live streaming of your daily work. What do you say?
Sure.
We could see, how many people would be interested in tuning in.
Sure, it could be a fun exercise to do. I did such streams before, and they went pretty well. So if there is interest and you like to see that, then we can do that too. So Spree is running. You can see that it's accepting and processing requests, and it's available under localhost 4000 right here. And if I just browse around, you could see that it's just filled with some sample data. So we can get started more quickly with working on Next.js Commerce. The only thing I changed locally was to add a few pictures. So we can see them in Next.js Commerce later. But apart from that, it's just a stock Spree starter setup. So with that done, I'll switch to the other terminal window, and we'll set up set up Next.js Commerce. And we'll do this from nothing. So first thing we have to do is clone the repository with source files. It's available again at our Spree GitHub account, but under Next.js-Commerce. Let's see, to click code, copy. And now we can follow the installation instructions. The instructions are available in a few places. You can go to the framework directory and then to Spree, and the README here will explain how to set up Next.js Commerce for Spree. You can also go to our spreecommerce.org documentation and have a look there. The instructions are similar, so whichever place you pick is going to contain the information you need. So let's follow this one. We clone the repository. So the next step is to copy default settings. So Next.js Commerce uses environment variables. And if you want to develop a project locally, you can put those environment variables in a file called env.local. There's a template to make it easier, and different stores have different templates. So ours is placed inside the framework/Spree directory, and we can run this command to copy the default environment values to the end local file. If we have a look at what the file contains, you will see that it has some basic configuration that tells Next.js Commerce where to look for Spree, for example. That's under API host. It sets the name of the cookie to store the user's token. This tells Next.js Commerce where to look for categories and brands. So this can be useful when you're displaying a list of products and want to make it easier for people to search through them. The basic configuration should be fine for running Next.js Commerce along with Spree Starter. We made sure of that. So if you just want to run both projects, you don't have to change anything. Spree Starter already runs at port 4000, and once we run Next.js Commerce, it will start at port 3000. So we have environment of variables copied. What we now have to do is install all the dependencies that Next.js Commerce relies on. There we go. And what's left, let's just confirm, is to run yarn dev. Yarn dev will start the development environment, and it will make sure that whatever changes in code, whenever there are changes in code, the website gets updated live, so you can have a look and make sure that these changes work well. It also disables caching. Next.js and Next.js Commerce by extension use caching very heavily. So in production, some of the updates may be visible with a few minute delay. For example, product pages are cached for about 3 minutes. But locally, all the caching is disabled, so you will always see the latest version of the project. And so here we go. This is Next.js Commerce running locally and communicating with Spree to fetch products. If I click on one of the products on the homepage, it will lead me to the product page. And from here, I can perform some basic tasks like add this product to the cart. Here we go. We support product variants. The sample database in Spree doesn't have products with variants, as far as I remember, so you don't see any here. But if we added them to Spree, that would be reflected on the Next.js Commerce page as well. So you would see a list with the ability to pick what specific variant you want to add to the cart. And apart from that, we can search for products if we want to, using the input above. So here we are. We can filter by categories, sort on the right side. So this is what our integration allows you to do. Next.js Commerce has multiple capabilities, not just the ability to browse products and add them to the cart. It also allows custom content pages, if you want, adding products to the wish list. There are a few of them that you can turn on and off. And if I decide to adjust something in source code, you will see changes instantly. So let's do that real quick so you can have an idea how quick it is during development. Let's, for example, modify the product page. Because Next.js Commerce is based on Next.js, the structure of the project is similar to what you would expect from a Next.js project. So most routes are defined as files under the pages directory. The product page is right here. So it's product and then slug. Slug is a dynamic value because it depends on what product we're viewing. So in this case, it would be denim shirt. And like most pages in Next.js Commerce, it's cached statically and then refreshed every couple of minutes. So here's the caching mechanism set up, and here's a method that can prefetch some number of products if you want to do that. So one way to fill the cache with product pages is to have people visit the page, and that will trigger the cache to be filled. But another way is to fill it when the project is built. So when you're deploying a new version of the project to production, you can, for example, fetch the first 50 products in the store. And then whenever any of those 50 products are visited, they will already be returned from the cache. So no user will have to wait for them. And Next.js has more strategies for caching than that. This is kind of a coarse strategy to cache the entire page. You can also use something called SWR, which is short for stale while revalidate, and it's used in Next.js Commerce, which can cache requests. So if you don't want to cache the entire page, maybe something specific on the page, like I don't know, a list of suggested products or something, then you can do it that way. All right, we're going back to live updates. I'm on the product page, and if we go look at how the component is rendered right here, you will see that while the cache is being filled, there is a simple loading message, but once it's full, the product view component is displayed. So let's go there. And here's the component responsible for displaying the product. And if I add something to it, like this, just click save. It should update. Let's see. Let's try another place. It's possible we don't see this specific update. We'll try another component. I promise I tested this a few minutes ago, so unfortunately, it doesn't seem to update right now, but let's quickly try something else. Maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, that's the beauty of live streaming a coding session, right? Everybody gets to see the whole process and how the product gets done, right? And delivered. And by the way, the whole point of this exercise is to demonstrate that installing Spree from the starter kit and connecting the Next.js Commerce storefront to it takes about maybe 20, 30 minutes. And Vercel, the makers of Next.js and Next.js Commerce, are really obsessive about developer experience, and so are we. Uh, we're trying to make those integrations really developer friendly. And at this point, maybe I could thank you, Tom, and the entire team who has been working on this integration for several weeks. And by no means it's the end of the journey. As the Vercel team is upgrading and further developing their storefront, we will be trying to keep up to provide the Spree community with all the goodies and the updates and the new features, uh, including the checkout, which, by the way, we are building currently and just connecting to the storefront.
That's true. That's true. Let me try one more thing.
And by the way, we're looking at the desktop version of the storefront, but it looks really great on the mobile too.
Okay. So yeah, it looks great on mobile. There is a light and dark theme, by the way. It's set the page to the dark theme because I use dark mode in my operating system. Okay, going back to updating Next.js Commerce during development, it works, as you can see. If I add some text, it gets updated really quickly. And in the Next.js 12 version, once Next.js Commerce is updated to that, it will be even quicker because it uses things like SWC to compile JavaScript. So it's going to be even better than this. The reason why it didn't work before is because I added a different project. So sorry about that. It actually worked from the beginning. I was just not changing the right thing.
We were just building, suspense and trying to, make us pay attention. That's fine. That's all right. That's a nice trick.
But everything works. So in the end, this is okay. All right. So that's how the development environment is set up. I will show you real quickly how the structure of the integration looks like. So going to pages shows you most of the pages that Next.js renders. So this is pretty standard structure. Where our integration is placed is within the framework directory. If you go to framework Spree, you will see the code we wrote to have Spree communicate with Next.js Commerce. And you can see some standard things like cart right here. So this enables managing contents of the cart, doing things like adding an item to the cart, removing an item, and so on. So it's logically organized within this directory. And how it's used by Next.js Commerce is either with hooks or is called directly in the static methods that Next.js calls to create the cache and render pages to the cache. So If you want to modify the integration, this is where you would do it. And if you want to modify how Next.js Commerce looks, you would go to the pages directory and modify JSX in here. These files, because the integration is in a separate directory and it relies on hooks and promises and stuff like that, it's very nicely separated. So when you go to one of these pages files, you will see that they're mostly made up of just JSX, and they occasionally call the integrations methods. So for example, like here, the home page uses the get all pages method from our integration to show a list of some content pages. It uses get all products to get the first 6 products and display them on the home page. So if you want to modify how the Next.js Commerce looks, it's very easy to do so, and you can still reuse the same methods into integration. How Next.js Commerce switches between integrations, because Spree is one of them, but there are others like Shopify. It uses settings in the environment variable. So as long as you copy our template with our environment variables, running Next.js Commerce will make it switch automatically to our integration and use our integrations files. Next.js Commerce relies heavily on TypeScript. So when working on integration, it helps with avoiding a lot of mistakes. If I look in one of the files we wrote to integrate with Next.js Commerce, you will see that we use types in a lot of different places. Like here, let's see, here to make sure that how we fetch the cart is done a standard way and in a way that Next.js Commerce can consume to display the cart. So that really helps. And the TypeScript from Next.js Commerce is mixed in with TypeScript from the Spree SDK, which we use in this project. So for example, when we need to send a token to Spree, so Spree can identify a user, we use iToken to make sure that's the right format. Next.js Commerce has a few more commands that you can use to build the project for production. And it will perform a few extra steps when you do that. So you may want to run these every now and then to make sure that your project obeys all the TypeScript that's included and that it will run fine in production as well. This is a slower command, so you probably don't want to run it all the time, and it doesn't rebuild the project continuously. But this is the one you should use when you're deploying to production, and sometimes when you want to make sure that everything will work fine in production, you may want to run this as well. All right, so I think that's enough in terms of a short introduction to Next.js. And let's move on to Checo.
All right, thanks, Tom. And once again, Tom and the entire team that worked on this integration, thanks so much. You know who you are. And I think everybody who uses that integration and Next.js Commerce storefront will be as fond of it as you are, Tom, because we can really see that you like it. Do you?
I do. In short, I do. Next.js Commerce is built by experienced developers. So you get a really good developer experience, but also a modern and fast user experience. So I think going forward, this is a really good choice uh, if you want a nice framework to go along with Spree.
Yeah, yeah. So you've got Spree and Next.js Commerce set up, and you've got them connected, and now you have to think about the checkout, right? So there are different ways to go about it. There are people who would like to code it all the way and just develop it themselves because they like it this way, and there are those other people who would like to get the job done and just get it going and get it delivered. And one of the ways to accomplish that is use an existing service such as Stripe Checkout. And Stripe built Checkout so you don't have to. And they host it. And you know Stripe because you know Stripe because of the rock solid APIs. And if you like what you've seen so far, I'm pretty sure you will like what you'll see right now. And with this, I will hand it over to Josh and Ali. Please do take it away.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for the really great introduction. Ali and I are so excited to be here from the Stripe team. For a really quick introduction, my name is Josh Ackerman, and I work as a product manager at Stripe, specifically focused on Stripe Checkout. Ali, do you want to give a quick introduction of yourself?
Sure. Hi, nice to meet everyone. My name is Ali Huckrow. I've been at Stripe for 2 years, and I focus on our emerging product suite.
Now, as Mike mentioned, we built Stripe Checkout to be an all-in-one optimized hosted payment page that you can use directly with Next.js Commerce and Spree Commerce to plug right in and ensure that you have the highest conversion rate possible when you're accepting payments from your customer base. Over the course of the next few minutes, Ali and I are going to tell you about why Stripe Checkout is so powerful and how you can get all the benefits out of Stripe Checkout and use it directly with Next.js and with Spree Commerce. Do you want to jump to the next slide, Ali? So, some really quick information about Checkout. First, I want to emphasize that we have done extensive testing with Checkout to ensure that Checkout is the highest converting checkout experience on the internet. We have an incredible amount of engineering, design, and product expertise in combination with powerful analytics across millions of merchants and billions of consumers that we use to ensure that Stripe Checkout is the fastest way for your customers to make a purchase, regardless of whether they're on desktop or on mobile. With Stripe Checkout, you can really do more with less. Stripe Checkout out of the box supports promotion codes, tax rates, over 18 payment methods, and it's so easy to get started. In addition, you can customize the branding so that it's a seamless transition from your web page over to Stripe Checkout. And so your customers have the look and feel of exactly what you're going for on your site. We'll go ahead and jump to the next slide. I want to give you a quick sense of just how much we invest in Checkout's conversion. We think all day, every day about how we can help reduce the friction so that your customers have the most seamless experience and can essentially check out in 0 seconds. We handle errors very gracefully to ensure that we're exposing information to your customers when they need to make a correction in their data, or we'll retry their information behind the scenes to ensure that their purchase goes through. All along the way, we are increasing trust from buyers through security visuals, cart summary, the cart branding. We always want to make sure that your customers feel like they are having a premium purchase experience when you send them directly to Stripe Checkout. As I mentioned earlier, it's fully mobile compatible and mobile responsive and fully localized. So regardless of where your consumer is purchasing from, they will see checkout in their language with the payment methods that are most relevant for them. We'll jump to the next slide. I want to just underscore the fact that we as a team are payments experts, and we really sweat the details. For example, I wanted to showcase 2 different quick things here. First, advanced decline codes. We had a hypothesis that if we exposed some of the advanced decline information that we know, we would actually see a higher increase in conversion. And the nice thing is that we turned out to be right here. We saw a 3.6% relative uplift by exposing some very specific information to your customers about why we were seeing declines from their payment instrument, which allowed them to make the correction on their side and then check out with ease. Another big investment we've made is in powerful features that allow your customers to go through your checkout process even more seamlessly. So for example, if you're shipping a good or you're collecting billing addresses, one of the things that we did was we actually ran a test to leverage address autocomplete and see if that improved the median time to checkout. And sure enough, it did, and we saw a nearly 1% relative conversion uplift as a result. These are the things that we're doing all the time behind the scenes at Stripe, and you get the benefit of them by plugging Stripe checkout directly into your site using Next.js Commerce and Spree Commerce. With that, I'll hand it over to Ali.
Awesome. So one of the things we also wanted to touch on in terms of the main value proposition of checkout is how easy it is to adapt to local payment methods and especially be nimble with the changing landscape. So to give you an idea, cards only drive 40% of global e-commerce, and buyers are getting more and more discerning in terms of websites they shop at if they do not offer their preferred payment method. So with this in mind, specifically with Europe, we've seen a big rise in bank-oriented payment methods, and in Asia, we've seen a very large percentage of wallet-based payment methods. So to put some concrete numbers around these metrics and observations, we, to Josh's point, are always interested in running tests to see how we can increase conversion for our merchants. So in Europe specifically, we found that by adding local payment methods, we can increase sales by 40% while also reducing costs by 40 basis points. So specifically, we looked at some of the European bank redirects. So Ideal is a very popular payment method in the Netherlands, same with Bank Contact in Belgium, GiroPay in Germany, and APS in Austria. And we found that when merchants added these payment methods, not only did they see an increase in total sales and conversion because buyers feel like they have more optionality, but they also saw a decrease in cost because generally payments that run on bank rails as opposed to credit cards are cheaper for merchants processing. Additionally, we've seen a large uptick globally in buy now, pay later vendors. So specifically Affirm and Klarna, and also Afterpay. But this isn't only a global story. It can also apply to the US as well. So in the US specifically, we've seen the rise of Apple Pay and Google Pay, which makes it 3 times faster to check out than manually filling in your credit card information. So we found that 37% of US customers paying via checkout have one of these 2 payment methods enabled, and 4 out of 10 customers prefer Apple Pay over credit card payments when it's available. So in our checkout form itself, we will surface Apple Pay and Google Pay at the top, depending on what your buyer has enabled and what type of device they're on. Additionally, as well, to underscore the point on the buy now, pay later landscape, we've seen a 27% increase in payments volume associated with buy now and pay later vendors, such as Afterpay or Klarna. And this is especially important for merchants that offer very high average order value type of merchandise. And then with checkout, we make it easy to turn on all of these different payment methods with one line of code and then enabling via the dashboard. So to give you an example of all the payment methods that checkout integrates, we do span globally and across all different types, including wallets, bank redirects, bank transfers, buy now, pay later, and then also cash-based payment methods as well, such as Boleto in Brazil and OXXO in Mexico. And then finally, we wanted to touch on checkout's automatic integration with Link with Stripe. Link with Stripe is the ability for your customers to save a card on file with Stripe. So if they then return back to another website that has Stripe enabled, will recognize their email address, prompt them to authenticate, and then pre-populate their credit card details. Link already includes a network of over 20 million consumers across thousands of businesses. And on average, Link customers check out 4 times as fast as non-Link customers. And this also drives far more engagement and conversion benefits as well. So with that, we thank you for your time and attention, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. When I'm looking at the data that you're presenting, that you're sharing, and I just start thinking about the data-driven development and design that has gone, behind the scenes into the Stripe checkout or your other services. It's just thrilling to see, because that's I think every product person's dream come true. And I don't think that no single development team can match your scale and your experiences and your get the insights that you get and design the services that you do. And I guess that's why both developers and product people love your services. And I know I'm maybe biased. I really like your services, but I think I speak for everyone. I'm also really excited about the Link service. Just thinking about the network effect, 20 million people using the Link service, and just thinking that other merchants, customers can come to my store and use the credit card on file without having to type it in. The savings, the time savings, the friction removed, the entry barrier lowered for new customers, for guests, users to come in and just to start purchasing. Those people crossing between stores, and that feature has been available only to the Amazons of the world, and now you're democratizing the whole thing, and just maybe making guest purchases really easy. So that's really exciting. But maybe enough from me, guys. Any questions for Ali and Josh and Tom? Feel free to use the chat pane and to ask any questions. Where can the integration extension source code for Stripe be found? So we haven't integrated Stripe checkout yet, but I've seen a great video of it, how to integrate it, and we would be happy to share it. We will be posting on our blog, including the video from this meeting. So we will include those links and those tutorials and those walkthroughs how to accomplish that. But it looks really great. I mean, there is a growing trend not to actually code everything yourself. I know it's strange to actually present that idea in a developer first meeting, but I think as you become a senior developer, you come to a conclusion that it's maybe better to use services that so many people have been working on and driving its design and development with data, with usage analytics, as our guests has just presented. This approach is really awesome. And so we've got a question: what about custom shipping methods, coupons and vouchers options for client promotions? Can the checkout count abandon carts?
Yeah, this is a great question. So the Stripe Checkout does support custom shipping options. Number one, today you can pass a shipping rate directly into the checkout session. And this is an early preview of a launch that's coming very soon. We're actually going to be allowing you to pass as many shipping options as you'd like into the checkout session for your consumer to pick the one that's best for them. If you would like early access to this functionality, please feel free to drop me a note via email, and I'll be happy to give you early access today. The other two questions were around coupons. Coupons and promotion codes are fully supported with Stripe Checkout. You can define your coupons and promotion codes in Stripe and then share those with your customer base in whatever form you'd like. In addition, Stripe Checkout does have a cart abandonment feature, so that should one of your customers abandon their cart, you can reach back out to them and have them jump right back in to complete their purchase. One last thing that I'll emphasize is that we are talking with customers all the time, and we really want to hear from you about what you're looking for and how you're implementing Stripe Checkout. Not only can you reach out to me via email if you're interested in getting early access to some of the brand new functionality that's about to come to Stripe, but you can also connect with us on Twitter. I just put my Twitter handle directly into the chat, so always happy to answer questions from you right there. And I can also then loop in other folks from our team who can share their expertise. There are also other Stripe products that you might find helpful. A good example is, let's say that with your storefront, you decide to even include a subscription service. We even have a new Stripe product called the Stripe Customer Portal, which would allow your customers to then manage that subscription. So there's so much functionality that we have that we're really excited to share with your entire community and pumped to help you get up and running.
Excellent. Any more questions, guys? Now you can ask them by email, and you can just drop Josh an email if you'd like. Any more questions to Tom, maybe? Because we didn't give you an opportunity to actually. Oh, would you recommend Next.js Commerce overview storefront to integrate with Street? So maybe I can take this one. Both storefronts are really great, and it really depends on your preferences and your maybe preference between React and Vue and some other factors that influence your decision. On second thought, Tom, maybe you have also something to contribute here.
Yeah, I think you have to look at both and decide which one fits your use case more. So depending on what you're trying to build, Vue Storefront or Next.js Commerce may be better. And what developers would like to build the storefront in as well. Ultimately, the architecture of both is very similar. So you won't get a vastly different experience when you work on one or the other. So for example, in Next.js Commerce, you use hooks. In Vue Storefront, you use composition API. So similar parts are there. So yeah, I think it's mostly about what your business needs and what your developers would like to develop in.
All right, and there is another question about SEO and how to make the Next.js Commerce storefront SEO friendly. Any thoughts, any immediate thoughts on that?
Sure. So Next.js Commerce already is accessible, so you can. Accessibility is not that important for SEO, but what is important is something that Google calls core web vitals. So, for example, how quickly the website shows up when you visit it. And in those terms, Next.js Commerce is very fast. There is some default caching set up in Next.js Commerce, like I mentioned, for example, the 3-minute cache for the product page. And with these mechanisms in place, the website loads really quickly. So that's one important thing that you get right away when you use Next.js Commerce. And also the things like the website is responsive. It looks good on mobile. Yeah. Of course, you would want to you want to describe the page to web crawlers properly. I don't think Next.js Commerce has that yet, but it's an active project, so this will definitely arrive at some point because it's an important thing.
Yeah, also I think a thing to mention is that that Next.js Commerce demo that we prepared might not be production ready. It's just a demo, so I guess we need to prepare a production version of such a site. All right, we've got several.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just to complete that thought, that's true. The demo website isn't completely optimized. It uses a production bundle, so it's faster than when you're developing the project locally. But for example, when we deploy the project, we have to rebuild the cache, so some things may start loading slowly again for users. So we didn't we didn't perform all the optimizations that you can with Next.js.
Yeah, so I guess it's a trade-off between development experience and production readiness. So there is, I think, room for improvement there. But I've known Tom for a long time, and if he says it's quick, it's quick. I trust, I take his word for it. And so moving on, we got, your guys are really, picking up
Yeah,
this.
there
So,
there
yep,
are a really good number of questions, and Ali and I actually are going to have to hop off in just a few minutes. So I thought we would try and like rapid fire our way through as many as we
yep,
can.
please do.
All right, so first, to jump into the question from Lawrence, does Stripe Checkout support split payments for multi-vendor marketplaces? The answer is yes. We do so through a product called Stripe Connect. I just put the URL into the chat, and Lawrence, feel free to reach out to us via email. Happy to tell you more and get you started with Stripe Connect. There was a question from Juan Pablo Oz that was, does Stripe support stock-based queues? Like when you have tons of customers trying to buy some limited stock product. This is not something that we support today. This is something that we will support very soon. And so Juan, please drop us an email and we'll be happy to give you early access to that when it is ready. And then there was a question from Constant Capital around, do I get the same input automation effects using the Stripe API for my custom inputs? We'll need to know a little bit more about what you're trying to achieve here, Constant Capital. If you could again reach out to us, we're happy to work directly with you in a hands-on fashion to ensure that we can support your use case. I think those were all the Stripe-related questions, Mike.
All right. Terrific, terrific. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for telling us about your great service. It's looking really great. And yeah, that being said, I think we are going to release you now. And I know you're very busy. So once again, thank you for your time. Guys, it's been really great. And just to wrap it up, we are having another one of these webinars in 3 weeks' time on the 17th of November about the Vue storefront integration with Spree. So another storefront starter that we are, would like to cover. And this one has been developed by Upside Labs in collaboration with Vue storefront itself. So looking forward to meeting you there. And with that being said, thanks so much. And we are going to wrap this up. Thanks. Thank
Thanks
you.
for joining.
Yeah, have a good day, night.